let's dive into Schmidt's training so we can stay consistent at home. Whenever we're working with Schmidt, we want to make sure that you reward the behaviors you want to continue to see. That way we encourage him to follow the commands and do the behaviors that we're after. So we reward that with praise, petting, and treats. We're also going to use his training equipment every day to make sure we follow through and stay consistent. If he decides not to listen to our command, we have the ability to communicate with him what mistakes he's made. So let's dive into his collars. So this is his prong collar. He's going to wear this whenever you have him on leash or take him for a walk. You might have to have him on leash a little bit in the house in the beginning to show him where the boundaries are inside the home, along with out on a walk. So we're going to attach the leash to the rotating D-ring. Now when we use this collar, we want to make sure we pop and release the collar. We don't have constant tension on it. We don't want to have constant tension on this leash because that's not going to help us communicate with him effectively. We just want to use it when, hey, he's making a little mistake or he's walking too fast on the leash. How to put this collar on him, we're going to take it apart at one of the links. So we grab a link, we push down, and we're going to pop the links apart. Then we're going to squeeze this link together to make sure they hook on like that. So we're going to push, pop the links apart, and then again squeeze. If we don't squeeze it, we try and slide it in, it's not going to hook on. So we want to make sure that we squeeze it. That way it is secure. Now let's go over when to use this. So let's use heel as an example. Heel is the command to walk next to us on a loose leash. If he decides to do anything other than walk next to us on a loose leash, we're going to say no, pop and release the lead, and then remind him heel. So we're marking the incorrect behavior with the verbal no, following through with a little pop of the leash, and then telling him heel what he should be doing. And then of course when he's walking next to us on a loose leash, we're going to tell him good heel and reward that with praise, petting, and treats. Now let's go over how to use the remote collar. So his collar has a little red dot right here. That is the magnetic key that turns the collar on. The matching key is on your remote itself. So we're going to touch the two together, and you're going to see a green light flash. That means it's on, charged, and ready to go. So on his collar back here, we're going to push this on-off button, and that's going to turn the remote on. So now we're going to focus on the black S button. We're going to go over all the features of the remote collar at the end of the video, but for now we just need to focus on the black S button. So same thing, we're going to use the prong collar and the remote collar hand in hand because dogs learn in physical ways first, so we have to use both to be able to communicate with him effectively, and then you can kind of use one or the other as needed. So we have the black S button, and let's go over the heel command again. So if he starts walking ahead of us and he's not walking next to us on a loose leash in the heel position, we're going to say no, and push the black S button and then remind him heel. So it's no, button, heel. No, button, heel. This is for all commands if he's not listening to the command when you ask him to do so. Now when he's in the heel position, I recommend when you go for your walks, 80% of it's in the heel, 20% you tell him free that he can go sniff. Whenever we give him the release term free, that means he's not supposed to be or he's not meant to be in a specific command. So when you tell him free, that's his time to go sniff, go to the bathroom. But again, we have to have that structure on the walk and maintain a nice loose leash walking so he doesn't go back to pulling us on the leash. Now let's talk about sit. Sit means stay until he's told free. So for example, door manners, we have him sit at the door. Now you don't have to say stay, because stay is implied with the sit because we have the release term free. So whenever we have him sit at the door, we open the door. Now opening the door is a big distraction because he's used to just going through the threshold. So you can remind him to sit by giving the verbal command again. So we have him sit, good sit as we open the door, and then we can tell him free and we can walk through the door together, or you can tell him heel and just start going for your walk. Or you can just say free, he goes to the door, and then we close the door behind us. So if he chooses to get up from the sit or doesn't listen to your command, follow through with the training equipment, no, tug the leash and or push the button, whatever is easier in that moment for you to get the point across to him, and then we have him sit again. Now let's go over down. So down means lay down and stay. So when we tell him down, he's supposed to lay all the way down. Now let's say he doesn't, we're going to say no, give a little tug down on the leash and or push the button, no, down. And same thing, if he gets up before we tell him free, we follow through with the training equipment. Now when we reward him, we tell him good down and we put the treat lower on the ground. That way he doesn't get up to get the treat, he gets it in the down position and we're not tricking him or confusing him to get up and get the treat. Whenever we want to leave him, remind him what he's supposed to be doing. So before you walk away, you say down, and then you walk away and do your distraction or keep him in the down stay. We never free from a distance with the down or the play stay. We always go back to him and let him know, hey, good job, thank you for staying. free. So that's going to create a really strong stay. So you're not confusing him and calling him to come to you. That's a great exercise, but it's going to weaken the stay a little bit. If we show him that every time we put you in a stay, we're always going to come back and release you, that's going to create a really strong stay for him. Then we have place. Place is a boundary stay on a bed. So as long as all four paws are on the place bed, he is practicing place. He can stand, sit, or lay down as long as he's within the boundary. If he gets off the bed, follow through, no, button, leash. When you're in the house, I recommend practicing with a leash on until he really gets the hang of it at home, and then you can fade the leash away and just rely on the remote collar. When we reward, we put the treats on the bed. That way he knows the bed is the positive zone. And again, when it's time for him to come off, we always go to him, good place, and tell him free. We don't free from a distance. Then we have come when called. So when we're practicing come when called, he's usually not sitting and staring at us when we need his attention. He's usually looking the other way. So we want to practice for that. Tell him free. Let him go explore. I recommend having a 30 to 50 foot leash on as a safety net, especially the first few weeks you're practicing and if you're in an area that doesn't have a fence. So he's free. He's sniffing. We're going to call him to come to us. Schmidt, come. When he's running to us, praise that behavior. We want to reward him for coming into our space. So good boy. Have him sit and reward. Now let's say he chooses to not listen to our commands. We call him, he doesn't come, no, push the button, follow through, call him again, now he's coming to us, good boy, we still reward, because we want to create a positive reward history of him performing these commands for us. So it's important to still reward him, even if he makes a little mistake once in a while. You don't want to always reward after a correction or following through with the remote, but you definitely want to reward the come command, so he always thinks coming into our space is a good idea, because it's a very important command to have. Then we have leave it. Leave it just means don't touch that, don't grab that. So if you drop something on the ground, you say leave it. If he does, great. That's it. If not, if he still shows interest, no, leave it. You follow through if he decides to ignore our command. So those are Schmidt's commands. We have heel, sit, down, place, come, leave it, free, that release term again. So whenever you're working with him, again, have fun. You want to make sure you reward the behaviors you want to continue to see. Follow through with the training equipment to discourage behaviors you don't want to see anymore from Schmidt. Have fun, stay consistent. Now we're going to show you Schmidt's commands. Beep, beep, beep.
Schmidt, come. Good boy. Sit. Good job.
You guys have like liquid for fogging, like for pesticide stuff.
Down. Good boy. Down. 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 Good down. Good down. Free. Good boy. Leave it. Free. Okay. Look. Okay, so let's go over the other features of Schmidt's remote collar. So we have the collar right here. We know how to turn the collar on, but let's go over how to turn the collar off. We have the two red dots. We're going to touch them together until we see the red light. It's hard for me to see. So red means off, so you can turn this off at the end of the day. He should wear this all day, every day, 12 to 14 hours a day. That way you have the ability to follow through if and when needed. To turn it back on, green button. All right, and then the on-off button in the back. We're going to push and hold that until the screen is blank. So you have to hold it for a few seconds and then push and hold it again to turn the screen, or to turn the collar on. So we talked about the black S button. This is going to be your primary button you're going to use for Schmidt. Let's talk about the red button. The red button is going to add 25 to the level on the screen. When would you need this? That's a great question. So you would need this command. Let's say he is, running and he gets out the door and he's running towards the road. You're calling him, Schmidt, come, but he's chasing something. He's really excited. The adrenaline's pumping. You're calling him. You're pushing the button. It's not working for him. That's when you go for the red button, because his adrenaline is pumping and he is being able to tune out. So we have that boost to try and snap him back to reality. So again, you're just going to push that red button and it will add 25 to whatever level is on the screen. He has not needed that at all in his training, but we have it as a safety measure just in case. Then we have the T button over here. That stands for toner or vibrate. So it will actually vibrate the collar. Now this is great because before you put it on Schmidt, you can make sure that this collar is on and ready to go, because the worst thing is putting it on him and it's not turned on. So vibrate it a few times, make sure it's on. And then down the road, few months, once he understands the boundaries and he's following the rules pretty well, if he makes a little mistake here and there, you can give him a little warning with a little vibrate. Say, hey, you're on the right track, but you're slipping up a little bit, so it's more of a warning. But I wouldn't use it often in the beginning, because then he's going to learn that the rules don't really apply as strictly at home, and we want to make sure he respects the command at home. All right, and then we have the little M/C button here. That stands for momentary and continuous. I'll show you that real quick. So I'm going to push and hold the black S button, and you're going to see it only stimulates that quick second. So even if I'm holding it, it's not continuously stimulating. That is because we use continuous on a lower level when we're first introducing the collar. We hold a low level and pair it with food. That way he understands what the collar is all about, but we don't have to do that anymore at this stage in his training. Then we have the on-off button in the back. Again, that's also a flashlight feature. So if you push it, instead of pushing and holding it, just tap it, you will activate the flashlight feature on his remote. So tap, tap, tap it again to turn it off. And then we have the dial. So level 25 is working for Schmidt right now, but that could change. So it might change because at home he's less distracted, so we can turn the level down, or at home he's more distracted and we need to turn the level up. If you're having to push this all the time, it probably means we need to turn it up a little bit to maybe 30 or 35. If you notice that he's being a little dramatic with his reaction, it should be just enough to get his attention and to let him know that that wasn't okay. It shouldn't be like a whole dramatic thing. Then let's turn it down to 20 or 15, whatever's working for him in that environment. So how to change it? This is locked. This is the dial, so we have to push down and hold it until the 1D right here is flashing. Now we can turn the level down, we can turn the level up, whatever we need to do, and then we need to lock it in place. So we'll turn it back to 25. We're going to push down and hold it, and now it should be locked back into place, so that if we're wearing it around our neck on the lanyard, or we have it in our hoodie pocket, it's not going to adjust the level on us and turn it too high for Schmidt. Okay, this is rechargeable, so I would recommend charging it every other day, because it should last about 2 days on a charge if you're turning it off at night, but that also depends on how much we're using it and if you're using the flashlight feature, all of that stuff. It is waterproof, so he can wear it while swimming. Here's the charging port for the collar under here. So make sure this is closed so that water, dirt, debris, oil doesn't get in where the charging port is. But he can wear this while swimming. He can get wet with this on. The key is making sure that after he goes swimming or gets wet, you take the collar off and dry him thoroughly. That way you don't have moisture building and creating a bacteria for his skin. Now with him being like a bully breed, he might have sensitive skin to the collar for wearing it long term. What I would recommend is halfway through the day, taking it off, repositioning it, and then putting it back on. This is just going to play it by ear, see how his skin reacts to wearing it a little bit longer during the day. So far he's been fine. And then this is the box that it comes with. He has the charger here that you can charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. And then he doesn't have long hair, so you really don't have to worry about these extender prongs, but you have them if for some reason you need them. And then this little black thing is the tool to change them out. And here we have the instruction manual to go over all the buttons in greater detail, but we did cover the features that you need to know about anyway. This has a 2-year full warranty, so if anything happens to this, give the company a call, let them know what's going on, and like let's say, you know, the collar's acting fine, but for some reason the remote's being a little goofy, you can call them and they'll send you a replacement and they'll show you how to do it. So make sure to take advantage of that. And of course, we already went over the prong collar. Just make sure you attach it to the D-ring, the one that rotates. Don't attach it to the circle. And again, it is a pop and release, not constant tension. So that is how you do the remote collar. Make sure you reward the behaviors you want to see. So for example, like with jumping, if he's jumping on you, correct. When he approaches you and sits, reward. That's going to handle the jumping and all the other behaviors. Same thing. Anything he does that you want to keep seeing, just reward that behavior and then follow through with anything you don't want to continue to see. Have fun, stay consistent, and let us know if you have any questions.